Hey guys, thought I'd start this Thursday's water change video off with some new friends of mine. Got some neon tetras, some rummy nose tetras, and some silver hatchet fish. We haven't had any of these three in years, and I don't think we've ever had silver hatchet fish. We did come across some marble ones a while back, but haven't seen them in a good long time. But started a new build sometime this week. I'm going to pull these plants and do some rearranging. I'm going to keep the Anubis for sure. The Amazon that I got, well, the baby Amazon right here and its mama right next to it, they're for sure going to go. And the Rotilla, which is right here, is probably going to go. I've not been happy with it in a long time, and the only reason why I was growing it for as long as we've always had it, but as it would grow, I would trim it back in all the tanks I had, and I would give it to a friend of mine. Her turtles would eat it. But I mean, as you can see, it's getting all into this Anubis right there and all that. So it's time for it to go. I don't have a lot of it left. It just has grown sporadic in this tank and a couple other tanks. But as part of the remodel, it's heading out. Probably get rid of most of the duckweed too. Well, I don't know, because I feed that to the goldfish. But anyhow, I wanted to show you my fish. And then let me reset my camera and we get back. Today we're going to talk about a question that I saw on Facebook, and it was about quick cycling. All right, I'll be back in just one moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry, that took a second. Well, for you it didn't take a second. I was only going like a blip. But I had to run upstairs. I'm making vegetable stock and wanted to stir it, check on it. Haven't checked on it in a minute. But yeah, got a new fish. That's kind of exciting. We decided that's going to be a Tetra tank all the way around. There is still my one cherry barb in there. And so far, knock on wood, we've had them now for 2 whole days, and the cherry barb's just kind of kept to itself. So we'll see how that works out. But so I wanted to kind of address a question I saw on Facebook. Matter of fact, I saw it on there today when I was rummaging through. I like to, I take most of my fish ideas, I mean, as far as YouTube goes, sorry, my chair is all kinds of cattywamped, and I gotta fix it. Nothing in this basement is even. Oh, there we go. Not very professional of me, is it? I should have done all this before. But anyhow, I get most of my fish ideas off of Facebook, things to talk about, and it's based on things I see in groups, especially some of the kind of bigger groups that have got a lot of newer people in them, and like to address them. Some of the questions, kind of one-on-one. If you have opinions on them, great, share them. I'd like to hear them. But the question that was asked was, there was a gentleman on a support group that was trying to quick cycle a tank and wanted to know what to look for. And he wasn't sure, well, like what parameters they should be, numbers wise. Was he good? How long does it take? And there were a handful of answers, and they were all pretty standard, which was kind of rare for being a large group. But it was something I wanted to address. So let me explain first what a quick cycle is. A quick cycle means that you're setting up a new tank. All right, so we'll just take a 10 gallon, for example, and you put whatever it is you want to put in it, decor-wise, rocks, gravel, fake plants, real plants, filtration. You get it set up, you get it running. Now, to quick cycle a tank versus just a standard cycle where you would let that run for forever. I mean, I'm talking forever, like weeks. And nature automatically starts a cycle. You will one day come down, and you'll see ammonia, and then you'll see nitrates, and then you'll see nitrites, and then nitrates. And that's how you know your tank is cycling, and you start doing water changes to balance the tank. When you quick cycle, you are trying to get that there within a way quicker amount of time. Most of the time, that's done by one of two ways. You can do it by, say, taking a couple of rocks out of an already cycled tank that's got fish in it, or a piece of wood, or plants, fake or real or otherwise, using some gravel or sand or whatever substrate you're using, and put it in there. Most guys will use part of their filtration to do it. Remember, anything in your tank besides water has good bacteria in it, and that's what you want. So you take something from your already cycled tank and you put it in your tank. You let it sit for about 24, 48 hours, a day or two. I've seen some guys, especially for like aquatic shows, they will quick cycle it, and it's a 24-hour deal. They come in the night before the show starts, they set up their tanks, they put a piece of their filtration in there, whether it's a sponge, some poly, some, whatever, lava rocks, regular rocks, part of their aquascape that came from another tank, to get it quick cycling, and by the next day it's ready for fish. Not a lot of fish. Now, you're not talking putting, 50 fish in it, and it'll also depend on the size of the tank. I wouldn't take like the sponge from a 10-gallon tank and try to quick start a 75-gallon tank. There's just not enough bacteria on that filter to get it functional in 24 hours. But a week, sure. Now, this is all my opinion and things I know because I've done it. When we had our 180-gallon, that's pretty much what I did. I took a little bit of poly from each tank and stuck it in the filter, and I let it run for a week. Now, as far as what your readings should be, you want them to be somewhat near 0 on ammonia, 0 on nitrites, and 5 to 10 on nitrates. Some people will say 0, but I can't tell you a single tank I have that's at 0. They all have a little bit of nitrates in them. The only one that may not would be my cycle tank. I honestly, anymore, I don't test my tanks unless I know there's a problem. Hold on one second, and I'll get a chart to show you. Okay. This is the chart right here. Your ammonia, which is right... yes. Which is right there, should be yellow, should be almost clear. Your nitrites, right there. Your nitrates shouldn't be, but maybe right there, 5 parts per million. To be perfect. Especially some of my tanks with the bigger fish in them, they run about there most time. Yeah, and this is a API test kit. If you don't have one, get one. It's a master test kit. So the guy wanted to know about lowering his pH, and here is my thing on that. He wanted to know if like a pH lowering chemical, which they make every chemical company out there for fish makes them, would be a good idea. Here is my opinion on chemicals like that control your pH level, because I think his tank was running 7.4 and he was worried about his KH, or his total hardness, not being high enough, which leads back to what I talked about a while back. If you bought your fish from a fish store in your local area, chances are their water's just like your water, and they probably don't add anything to their water. So I don't know if I'd worry a whole lot about that unless you were looking for a specific reaction from your fish, breeding, things like that. Now, that being said, I don't use anything in my tanks, and I've kept all kinds of fish, from expensive and rares and exotics to, just goldfish, and have never really had a problem ever with my water. So, problem with chemicals, in my opinion, he's wanting to use a pH lower to lower his pH is you're always going to chase that, and you're always going to be dumping chemicals in your tank. Every time you do a water change, you're dumping more chemicals in your tank. So I would recommend, if you're trying to lower your pH, use spring water or oh my gosh, neutral water. It's not spring water. It's you can buy it at Kroger, or your grocery store. Denatured water. Is it denatured? No, but anyhow, it's been completely filtered clean. You'll see spring water, and then you'll see the other water in like the aisle of your grocery store. But anyhow, I would use that, something that's purified. That way, it will dilute your tap water or your well water or whatever you have, but it dilutes it, and you can dilute it down to what you want. And that way you keep your balance. In the long run, it's a lot cheaper, because realistically, depending on what size tank you got, I think this guy had a 30-gallon tank he was setting up. You may only have to put a gallon of it in there, to get it down to where you want it. But once you start, you quick cycle it, and you don't use chemicals, you get where you need to go with using bottled water, gallon jugs of water, and then that way you can mess with it. Say like you want to raise your pH, you're keeping a African cichlid that requires a high pH level. They make natural stones and things like that you can put in to raise your pH. You can control it better that way. Like I said, chemicals are a rabbit hole, or it might just be a fish that decide you can't afford the expense, time, and the effort to keep. I am so against chemicals, and that's my big thing. When you do set up a new tank, even if you quick cycle, say like you're wanting to combine two tanks into one massive tank, or whatever, you're wanting to combine tanks or something like that. So you set up your new tank, you quick cycle it, it's got all the good stuff that it needs to have, and you test it and it's great. Now, don't put all your fish in at once. Even if you're starting a new tank, go with 2 or 3 at a time, fish-wise. Like if you're wanting a group of neons, because some fish, especially smaller fish, community fish, they require you to do more. They're happier. Like cory cats are always happier in groups of at minimum 6. Neon tetras always 10 or more. A lot of tetras are like that. So when you do those, they're really, really small. Like my neon tetras probably aren't a 1/4 inch long. They're really small little fish. So you could get 10 to 12 of those, if that's what you so desired, but then don't buy anything more for a week. Let them settle in, let them raise, the ammonia, let them raise the cycling a little bit, and then a week or two down the road, go out and buy another species or some more fish, whatever. But you don't want to go out and buy 50 fish all at once and dump it in a fish tank. What will happen is even though there's bacteria in it where you've quick cycled it, good bacteria, chances are there's not enough in there to handle the load. Now, maybe let it quick cycle and do it for a week or two, even on a 20-gallon, 30-gallon tank, then you might stand a better chance. But remember, fish keeping isn't really a race. I mean, it's something that you're supposed to enjoy and take your time with, and you want to do it right. So when you quick cycle your tank, don't go out and buy 50 fish. Don't transfer all your fish into the new tank that you're moving from an old tank or tanks. Do it over a period of time. That way, your water and your fish get to adjust. Your good bacteria gets to grow some more. It gets to adjust to what you're doing, and you should be in good shape. All right, I hope all that made sense to you, but like I said, the guy was looking for how to know his quick cycle was good. And what it comes down to is you put a sponge in, or rocks or wood into your new tank, something from an old tank that's been cycling for a while, like one of my tanks that's been up for over a year. I would put a rock or a piece of filter or something in there in the new tank, let the tank run for 24 to 48 hours. I've got enough of bacteria cycle in there that I should get readings, and my ammonia should be 0. Nitrites should be 0. Nitrates should be no more than 5 to 10 parts per million. Idealistically 0, but the reality of it is you're probably going to be at like 5 parts per million. Then you know you're good enough to put fish in it. Then you want to do a small water change, small one, 10%, and then add a couple fish, from an existing tank. That way the bacteria can have something to eat. B, you'll be able to allow the bacteria to grow and at a lot at a time, and then that way it allows your good bacteria to grow enough that you can start adding more fish over time. Not everything all at once. So that being said, that's how you quick cycle a tank and get it up and running. As far as pH levels go, try not to use the pH down or the pH up that they sell. Like I said, that'll put you down a rabbit hole. The first time you forget or screw something up, you could kill your fish. Use distilled water. And you'll be fine. You can control your pH level with distilled water no matter where your water comes from. All right, I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed looking at my new fish, and I hope you got something out of this if you're a fish keeper. And if not, I hope you get into fish keeping, because it really is a lot of fun, I think. All right, I'll talk to you later. I love you guys. Tell somebody else you love them. Make their day a little better. All right, bye.